Hello, 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 everybody. Nobody here yet, but that's all good. I am Mrs. Deveter, and I am so happy to be here joining you today for this Motivation and Mental Health Monday. This is my very first here on the Mrs. Deveter page and my Leah Simone page and my Deveter YouTube channel, and I'm so glad for the opportunity to chat with you all today a little bit about mental health. I have a very special guest joining me today, and we'll just be sharing a little of our coping mechanisms. And over the past 18 months, the world has gone crazy in so many different ways, and our mental health has been adversely impacted. And so I just wanted to have this opportunity to share a little bit about ways in which we can maintain our mental health, not be afraid to talk about our mental health, and ways in which you as individuals, what you do you, some of us crochet, some of us knit, some of us paint, some of us write songs or write poems, or whatever it is that you do in order to maintain your mental health. That's what we're going to be talking about today. I did pull a couple of stats just so that we can, read what is really going on from the COVID-19 pandemic. The percentages of people who are dealing with mental health issues, depression, are on the rise. It is amazing to see how many people are now having to take antidepressants, how many people, are now speaking to therapists, which I applaud. I have my appointment on Thursday. I can't wait to chat with Julie. So much has gone on in my life that I need to speak with my therapist. So over the last 18 months, we have really gone through so much stress. According to the CDC, feelings of fear, anger, sadness, worry, numbness. I don't know about you guys, but every time I pull up my Facebook feed, if I don't see at least 5 rest in pieces or some type of condolences to somebody, I haven't seen any. And that's saying a lot. Over this past weekend alone, I heard of 3 deaths. That is a lot. It's a lot. Changes in appetite, energy, desires, and interests, difficulty sleeping or nightmares. Last week, insomnia was like at an all-time high for me. Like, I was having issues sleeping because I have so much going on in my mind, racing thoughts, trying to figure out what my next move is, career-wise, family-wise, like just so much going on. For some, there's physical reactions such as headaches and body pain, stomach problems and skin rashes, worsening of chronic health problems, worsening of mental health conditions, increased use of alcohol, tobacco, and other substances. Being home with your family for a long period of time can cause you to run to the bottle. Thankfully, I did it. Thank God. I did get fat though because I was running to the refrigerator. So these are the kinds of things that we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about our coping mechanisms. I'm so glad that Rebekah Haas, who is an amazing crochet designer, she is fantastic. She is one of the featured designers in the Crochet Foundry magazine, the fall issue. So if you have not already done so and you're a crocheter, please go and pick up the latest version of the Crochet Foundry magazine. I'll put the link in the comments later on. For those of you who are tuning in now and watching me live, hello, hello, hello. I see you in the comment section. Thank you for joining me. And to those of you who are watching the replay, thank you for clicking the button and watching this video. I hope you get something out of it. But without further ado, I would like to introduce Rebekah Haas to this conversation. Hello, Rebekah, darling.
Thank you. I got all set up. I know I started out for a second. I got it all set up, and then my phone buzzed and was like, "You have 5% battery life." And I was like,
Oh, oh, okay.
So I had to run and get my charger real quick, or it was gonna die halfway through, and I didn't want that to happen.
No, we definitely didn't want that to
So
happen.
I'm winded. It's because I'm running around my house
I
trying to
totally
get my
understand.
charger.
I saw you moving around, and I was like, okay, let me talk some more.
No,
She's
I
ready.
was like, she's doing great. She's a friend for me. No, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I'd used so much battery already today on my phone.
It's
Um,
crazy, right?
but
The
oh
way
yeah,
it just runs out of battery is ridiculous. It's
it is.
ridiculous.
It goes so fast, it seems like. Granted, I probably spend too much time on my phone, so that might be a contributing factor.
Well, you're not alone, my love. We are all dealing with it. I'm at 69%. So yeah,
Oh,
I
good
get
for you. I was gonna say that sounds great. I'm at like 10.
it. Rebekah, introduce yourself to the audience. Let them know who you are, and then
Mhm.
we'll get into our topic of conversation.
I am Rebekah Haas. I have the blog RebekahHaas.com. It's mostly crochet patterns. It is exclusively crochet stuff at this point. Originally, I had wanted to be a mommy blogger, and then I realized that after momming all day long, I did not want to talk about it anymore. Um, so it wasn't for me. So I did an about. It was originally Rebekah's Haas and Home was my original idea, and then I was
That's
just like,
cute.
yeah, right, because the
Yeah,
German word for house is Haus. It's
I
not
love
spelled the same,
it.
but it's pronounced similar.
That's
So I thought it was fun, and I got like I put up a couple posts about you know my birth stories. I have 4 kids, um, and just I wanted to be an encouragement, and part of it was a little bit of a mental health focus. Like at that time, I was a new mom. I guess I'm still technically a young mom,
mhm.
but I have had 4 induced, medically induced deliveries, not C-sections, but medically induced deliveries. And I
Oh,
know so many people are afraid of that. And then I was like, I want people to not be so afraid if this is something they have to go through, because fear can be so debilitating.
it can be.
Um, and it's just brings up so much stress, which can be really hard on your whole system and your mind as well as your body.
Mhm,
Anyway, so that was my thought. And then I realized I wanted something that was more for me. Like
mhm,
it's not about me telling you how I help my kids or me telling you how I clean my home to take care of my family. I
mhm,
wanted something that was really something that I was truly passionate about and that brought me a sense of calm.
mhm,
Which is when I switched gears and I went into crocheting. Crocheting, my husband jokes, is the original hobby for me. Not like for everybody, but like for me. Because
uh-huh.
I'm that person who will pick up a bunch of different hobbies as a way to get to know people.
Mm,
Like, my best friend in college, loves scrapbooking.
mhm,
So I got really into scrapbooking because it was a way to spend time together.
mm,
My brother's wife, my sister-in-law, really loves anime.
mhm,
And so I started watching anime and reading manga. So we'd have something to talk about and
mhm,
just to help build those, have some common ground to build relationships.
mhm.
But crocheting, I've been crocheting since I was in first grade. Um, I'm very young. I honestly don't remember learning to crochet. I'm
Wow.
not sure. I'm not 100% sure if it was first grade, but I was really young.
Mhm.
Um, and I taught my friend to crochet when I was 9.
Oh.
And I just loved it. It was my way of just processing and focusing and tuning out
Mhm,
the overwhelm.
mhm,
Um, and it's always been one of those things that I go back to when I feel like I can't process anymore.
mm.
Like there's too much, the overwhelm is too much. I can't process anymore. And crocheting has always been that thing that helps me to just find
I
my
love that.
centered place. I started knitting for the first time this year.
Oh.
Well, okay, I say for the first time, that's not entirely true. I tried in high school
Mhm,
and I did manage to knit myself a scarf,
mhm.
but it was rough. I chose to begin knitting with Lion Brand homespun yarn, which
Oh, what?
I did not know what I was doing.
Oh my goodness.
It was a mistake.
And you actually made something
I
like,
made, I used the Lion Brand homespun and I made myself a cable knit scarf.
wait a minute, a
A
cable knit
cable knit scarf with Lion
scarf?
Brand homespun, and I never touched those needles again
I believe it.
because it was so stressful. And I just picked up knitting again this year. Um, and I'm working on a shawl and a pair of socks. And I have found knitting socks with the 2 at a time method because I don't make 2 of anything. I do not make 2 of anything. It's
What is
hard
the
enough to
two
make
of a
2.
what's the 2 at a time method?
I should go get it. It's over there. It's you use really long cabled needles,
Okay.
and you have 2. I'm trying to. Where's my camera? It's mirrored.
I
You
know,
have 2
right?
socks on it, and so you knit one round on this sock. So you knit the front of the socks, and then you knit the back, and you just work both of them.
Get out of town. You can do that?
Yeah, there's some really great videos. I watched a tutorial from the Crazy Sock Lady.
Okay.
That's pretty easy to remember. I mean, way to nail the branding there.
You did a good job.
So she has a really great YouTube series where she teaches you how to knit socks. So I'm using her, what she calls it, her vanilla sock pattern, which is basically what is the name of it? Garter stitch? It's not garter stitch. It's the other one.
You don't
Where
get
it's
me
all
wrong.
knit, where
Yeah,
it's all
these are
knit in
not
the
friends.
front. And so it's just all knit stitch, and it's really easy. So like you can get a really colorful yarn and have a really easy sock pattern and end with something beautiful. And they're all made to measure, so like you get a great fit. Anyways, I'm selling sock patterns now.
Wow. Like everybody in the comment section is like, what? I never heard of that. Need to check it out. Olajo, Andrea wants to know, is it DPN? So I think DPN means double pointed needles.
No, it's not on double pointed needles. Okay. It's on cabled needles. Cable. And I'm using a size 1 with a 40-inch cable because you need a lot of cable. But a 40-inch seems like too much for socks. Mm-hmm. But you need a lot of extra. It's actually in my backpack right over there. I'm like tempted to run over there and grab it to show you.
It's just me and my friends.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
Okay. She's going to get this amazing pair of socks that she's working on 2 at a time. So we need to see this. Like, I need to see how you make 2 socks at one time. She said she's using needles with a really long cord. So I'm excited to see what Rebekah is working on here. This is really exciting. And here she is. Okay, show us.
Okay, hold on. So here we go. I'm a little tangled up here. I haven't worked on it in a while because one of my kids wanted to see what I was working on and he went to stretch it out and it snapped one of my wooden needles. So I have to go back to my yarn shop and get a new pair of needles. I haven't had a chance yet. But it looks like this. So you have a bunch of extra cable here.
Yeah.
And then you have your needles here. So what you'll do is when I'm ready, I can't quite do it because this needle is split. Like,
oh man, yeah, see
right
it.
There.
Yep,
so I can't move the yarn through this needle right now. Mm-hmm. But I would pull this one out and you would knit across the front, this section. And then you knit across this section. But now your needles are like one comes out here and one comes out here. You turn it and you knit across the back. And so you finish your socks at the same time, and it's one project, not 2.
Who came up with this?
I don't know, but they're genius. Because this is the only way I'm ever gonna make a full pair of socks.
Tell me the name of the site, and I will put that in the comment section.
There's a bunch of them, but I use the Crazy Sock Lady.
Crazy Sock Lady.
And she's on YouTube. I watched her YouTube tutorials, and then this. I think the pattern is free, or you can purchase the download. I just went ahead and bought it so I could have it in my bag because I was traveling to my Nana's funeral. Because you're talking about feeling like not a week goes by that you don't get. It has been.
Listen. So let me just preface it for everybody who might be just joining us. So when Rebekah was on with my friends at the Crochet Foundry, she was talking about her pattern, and then she started to talk a little bit about mental health, and this past year and how so many of us have really had to deal with a lot. And not just this past year, like just in life in general, we go through a lot of different changes, but specifically this past year with COVID-19 and everything that's been going on in the world, a lot of us have really dealt with mental health and depression and feeling sad and feeling down and dealing with loss. And so she started to talk a little bit about it. And I was like, I want her to talk some more about that because I know a lot of us have had to deal with things. So, Rebekah, share with us a little bit about mental health, your process, what you think about it, anything that you want to share. We're
Okay.
open for this conversation.
My mental health story is not a short one.
Mm-hmm.
I've struggled with mental health issues for most of my life. I have several chronic illnesses that are not super visible. I have a genetic disorder that's in my DNA. So my body is unable to process certain vitamins and minerals, which are necessary for energy. So I have chronic fatigue, and it's because I simply cannot get energy from food the way a person ought to be able to. So I'm often very tired. I have to take naps during the day. So having a blog and being a stay-at-home mom works great for me because I can pace myself. I've struggled with depression almost my entire life, and I didn't realize that's what it was. So to lay some groundwork, I am a person of faith. I consider myself a Christian. I grew up in a Christian home. My dad is a pastor.
Okay.
We were missionaries. We had a church in Aviano, Italy, for English-speaking military personnel who needed the support of just the community support of a local church. The chaplains do a great job, and the chapels, they do what they can, but there are a lot of heavy restrictions on them. Like, I don't know all the details, but I remember my dad saying, when he was in, you couldn't always find a chaplain that agreed with you or would hear you all the way out sometimes because you would have one chaplain of a denomination, but they weren't open to everything.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. So we were there to provide spiritual, emotional, and community support for servicemen, but we also ended up being a lot more than that. We had a lot of African Ghanaian immigrants who came to our church because English is the trade language there. They were much more comfortable in English services. And then a lot of immigrants would come to our church as well. Anyways, that was, but to lay the groundwork, I grew up in this Christian environment, and I feel like a lot of Christian culture, they're very hesitant to talk about mental health and depression.
Yes.
Because admitting you have a problem is often associated with, well, then you didn't have enough faith.
Yep. I too am a Christian, so I can identify with everything you are saying.
Yes. And so it's like, oh, it's a you problem. But there are a lot of things that cause depression outside of, I just didn't pray enough.
Right.
So I remember high school was my first major depression, and that was the first time I contemplated not continuing my journey in life. And I had everything planned out. I waited to the middle of the night when no one was awake and got it all set up. I won't go into detail. And then just as I was about to finish what I was planning to do, I had this image flash through my mind of my mom finding me the next morning. And my mom is, I love my mom. People talk about childhood trauma, and we all have it. But I often say it didn't come from my mom, and it come from my parents. Did the absolute best they could, and they are just beautiful people. I have a fantastic relationship with my mom. And I was just like, I can't do this to mom.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I can take another day, but I can't do this to mom.
Yeah.
So I put it away and I went to bed. I didn't know what to do. And that was the first time. And then I went through mild ups and downs throughout life. And the depression hit again extremely hard. Like I've had a general low
Mm-hmm.
throughout most of my life. It hit really hard again after I gave birth to my second child.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was the second time that I was like, I don't know if I can keep living. And but I also couldn't bring myself. I had kids. I had
Yeah.
responsibilities.
Yeah.
And then again,
It's okay.
gonna crack.
It's okay.
About a month and a half, 2 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't take it anymore, and I lost my temper, and my husband was frustrated because I'm the one who's over here like we're gentle parents. We don't yell at our kids, and he's like, "Why are you yelling all the time?
Yeah.
What is going on with you?" And I went back to my room, and I knew he was frustrated. My kids were crying. And the thing about depression is it's not logical.
Mm-mm.
It's not going to tell you the truth.
No.
It's your brain is so screwed up, it's lying to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I remember laying there in bed crying, and I thought, I'm not going to do it tomorrow. I'm done. I'm done. I'm ready to check out. And so I picked up my phone to Google how many of whatever medication I had in my bathroom counter I needed to take. But my phone was dead because my phone is always dead.
Mm.
And that was what it was just like this slap.
Yes.
Like, what are you doing?
Yes.
Like,
let me ask you a question. At that point, do you, as a Christian, do you believe that that was God?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I did. I did.
Okay.
It was like the Holy Spirit was like, hello.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so the next day, I didn't tell my husband what happened. I knew he was frustrated with me at the time because he didn't understand what was going on. My husband is a fantastic, super supportive
Now I'm
person.
getting ready to start crying.
So don't hold it against him. He was very confused. He didn't know what was going on. So he was working around the house trying to get things cleaned up and set up for the next day, getting the kids' school lunches packed because I was out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I laid in bed just sobbing and praying, Lord, keep me, because I at first I was like, well, I guess it doesn't matter. I could just take a bunch of something. But it was like I had that like, and I was like, you know what? My brain is lying to me. And I laid there in bed crying, and I was just like, dear Lord, please do not let me get out of bed. Do not give me the energy to walk to my bathroom. Take on, I have chronic fatigue. There are enough times where I can't get up.
Right.
Like, this is the time to take food.
Right.
So the next day I called my doctor. And I went to an appointment they got me in there like immediately. Like I called the nurse or I called setup and I was like, I'm supposed to have an annual physical and I missed my annual physical because of the COVID. And then finally I was just like, also want to talk to somebody about depression.
Yes.
And she was like, we can get you in today. And that's all. Like, if it's and what I think I want to say by that is they are ready.
Yes.
To help. They are so ready. You call a doctor and say, I'm depressed and I don't think I can keep on. They will get you to somebody ASAP as soon as they can. Because nobody actually wants you to be miserable. And the people who maybe don't deserve to be a part of your life.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
And they got me in immediately. And one of the reasons I'd never been to anyone for my depression before was I kept thinking I just needed to eat better food and then maybe my body would regulate, or I needed to be more faithful in my faith and my spirituality, or there's all these reasons. Also because my sister's trying to call me. Like, I told you I had a thing today. I'm distracted. I'm gonna just and text her back. We're tight. She's fine. Okay. Lost my train of thought. Anyways, what was I thinking?
You were talking about the reason why you've never gone to the doctor.
Oh yes. So and then there's just like and sometimes when something is your status quo, you don't realize it's a problem. Like with glasses. I was homeschooled. And so my teacher didn't catch that I couldn't see the board.
Wow.
So I went a long time without realizing I couldn't see well and without
Mhm,
anyone else realizing,
mhm,
because I did my work all up close. I
mhm,
didn't do a lot of faraway work.
mhm,
And
mhm.
my parents felt horrible when they finally realized I couldn't see,
Yeah.
because I can remember putting on my glasses for the first time and seeing stars. I can remember the first time I saw stars. I
Oh.
can remember the first time I saw leaves. And if you've talked to my parents about it, they feel horrible. They're just like, I
Oh.
can't believe we didn't realize.
Yeah.
But if you think about the way our lives were at the time,
How would they
everything I
know?
did was here.
Right.
There was no trying to see the board far away. And my
Right.
dad was actually preaching, and he looked at me and realized that I was trying to see him and gave up. And the very next day, they took me to a doctor.
Wow.
Um, so but when you live your life with a status quo that isn't normal, you don't realize it's not normal.
Mhm, mhm,
And
mhm.
so I have always lived with this certain underlying level of depression that it never occurred to me that I needed help.
Wow.
So I went to the doctor and he put me on an antidepressant,
Mhm,
and I am on my second month of antidepressants. And y'all, when your bad days outnumber your good days,
mhm.
then go get help,
That's
please.
right. That's right. That's right.
And there is no shame in that.
None. Take your
Because,
pill and say your prayers. Take
yes,
your pill and say your prayers.
yes.
Nothing wrong
Okay,
with
for
it.
some reason, my volume suddenly went all the way down over here. I don't know what happened. As I can't hear anything.
Oh no, I hear you.
Well, I can kind of hear you. It just got really quiet, and I don't know why.
Oh, that's weird. I hope it's not
I
me.
wonder if it was like trying to be quiet because my phone was ringing
Maybe.
and it didn't. Okay, well, I mean, it's just quiet. I can kind of hear you.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on.
So
Um, but yeah,
yeah,
and
go ahead.
so another thing is like, I was talking to my sister, because she and I are tight and we talk about everything. Um, and I was like, and there is some truth that when you are right with, as far as what we believe, if you're right with God and there is a lot of healing in that.
Mhm,
But sometimes your brain can't even get to that, can't take the first step
mhm.
without a little help.
A little help. A
And
little
God gave
help.
us medical professionals
Say
for a
that
reason.
again, please. Just say that one more time. Say it again.
God, it's true. God gave us medical professionals for a reason. Like, people are like, well, if you just trusted God enough, well,
Mm-mm.
then why'd he make us smart enough to get help
That's
if we
right.
need help?
That's right. Listen,
Um,
Rebecca, I don't know if the volume is back up and if you can hear me or not, but I just wanted to say I am so amazed at how God does what he does. I had no idea that you were a Christian. I had no idea that you believed exactly what I believe when I asked you to come onto the show today. But when I tell you that this is a divine connection, trust me when I say this is a divine connection. And I'm going to just leave it at that.
I agree. I agree. I'm always a little, some people are very uncomfortable talking about faith. So I try not to be abrasive in how I present my faith, especially since a lot of what I do publicly, like what you will see, is business related. It's what I do as my job.
Mhm,
And my business is crochet patterns. It's not necessarily, my faith, even though I do a lot on the side,
mhm,
behind the scenes, that is motivated. For instance, one of the big things I do with my business is I talk about being a maker of happy things, or being a joyful maker.
yes.
I have a project journal that I wrote that's all about finding joy in your craft,
Mhm,
learning what is about your craft is going to bring that sense of calm and that sense of therapy, instead of just chasing every new pattern and then realizing I don't actually enjoy
uh,
making this.
this ain't fun.
Um, yeah, no, it's true. There are some things that I'm like, like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna make my kids stuffed animals for Christmas, and part of me is like,
I
I don't
don't
want to
want
make
to do
Andy grew to me, but I know they will love them. It's been a long time since I've made them anything because they don't actually really want to wear any of the sweaters I make.
this.
So
How old are your children?
I have 4 children. The oldest is 7, 5, 3, and 1.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I am turning 32 in 2 weeks.
Wow. Okay. So your hands are full.
That's true, but it was a choice that
Mhm,
I made.
mhm.
I wanted to be done having kids by the time I was 30.
Okay.
Because I want this is going to be a weird motivation. I want to be a young grandmother. I want to be able to help my
Enjoy.
daughters when they go through their first bout of postpartum depression. I want
Mm.
to be able to come over and have the energy to clean their house
Mhm,
so they can lay in bed with their baby,
mhm, mhm.
you know? Because I didn't have anybody who could do that for me because my mom wasn't, she wanted to be there,
Yeah.
but she couldn't because they live in Europe, or they did.
Oh,
They actually just moved back to the States this year.
okay. Okay.
Um, so I've done everything alone.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
My mom's never been here for them. She actually was able to come in for this last January. She came in when my baby was born,
Okay.
the youngest. And
Mhm.
that was the first time she got to hold one of her grandbabies as a newborn. And she
Wow.
has, 4, 5, 6, 7 grandbabies.
Wow.
And so it was special for her too.
Mhm.
But I want to be able to support my kids when they go through those hard things, and to be able to keep my grandkids
Mhm.
when needed and stuff like that, instead of, you know, some grandparents aren't able to do that for a variety of, like,
Reasons.
they're just not in this health, or their age prevents them
Yes.
from being able to do a lot of things.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
want to make sure I take advantage of my strong years to be as big a help as I can.
Well, that's awesome. That's great planning, I must say. That's great
Well, it's
planning.
about
So
the
good
only
for
thing I've
you.
successfully planned so
Oh,
far.
stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Rebecca, you
Um,
have no idea how this conversation is just doing me all the good in the world. And it has solidified some things in my heart and in my mind about my move forward. And
well, good.
I'm just excited. I'm just
Well,
so,
good.
I'm really,
Well, I'll leave you with one more thing. Well, when I talked to my mom, she was like, she's been trying to get me to go to a doctor and get on the antidepressants for years.
wow.
Um, and she has a saying that she teaches. She does a lot of women's conferences, and she took antidepressants after she gave birth to my younger sister, which was her 4th.
Mm,
Um, so she's like, you need the medicine, you take the medicine, you do what you need to do
mhm,
to get your mind and your heart healthy.
mhm, mhm.
There's no shame in that. Um, but she says, um, as women of faith, we rest in God.
Mhm,
And we hear that taught a lot,
mhm,
resting. Like,
mhm.
oh, rest in God, abide in God. And you're like, okay, okay, okay. But for those of us who are not intuitive,
Right,
what does that mean?
right, right.
And so my mom broke it down into an acronym. So I'm just going to share what my mom taught me
Okay.
because she's amazing. When you rest, you rejoice.
Mhm. I'm gonna
And
write it down.
rejoicing, oh, you're gonna write it down. Okay. When you rest, you rejoice. You find, and I call it romancing the ordinary. You find the small things in your life that are joyful, that are gifts from God, whether that is a pumpkin spice latte that you had a gift card for. That's a tiny thing that just sparks joy.
Mhm,
Personally, I like being able to sit on the couch in the afternoon
mhm.
and watch dust motes float in the sun. Like, that is so beautiful.
Okay.
Is that weird? Well, it's because I'm tired and I have this fatigue, so I have to take these little breaks.
Right, right.
but I also have ADHD, so my brain is still going 100 miles a minute. And
Mhm,
so I see those little details and I'm just like, that's so beautiful, the way they float like that.
mhm, mhm.
And somebody, I believe God plans those things, how
Yes.
dust floats or how flowers bloom. And
Yes.
so rejoicing is finding those small moments in your life that seem as minute as the sun glittering off dust motes, and
Yes.
and embracing those as things to be happy about.
Yes.
And then so you rest, and then you exalt. So it's finding ways to lift God up and to lift up the people around you. um like, I praise the Lord that he gave me that moment of clarity to call my doctor, because I don't make phone calls if I
Mm,
don't have to. I was like a year and a half overdue for my physical because I just don't like scheduling doctor's appointments.
mm.
So it's not something that's easy for me to do, but he gave me that moment of clarity to do what needed to be done, and I can praise him and exalt him for that. Um, I'm trying to remember. Exalt.
S.
S, that's next. S, sing.
Yes.
Singing. I don't know if you can see. We're
Yes.
musicians. My husband is a musician.
Hmm.
My
So
degree is
is
in
mine.
music. His degree is in music.
Hmm.
You don't have to be a good singer to
Right.
sing.
Right.
And you don't have to sing hymns, and you don't have, just make some music.
Mm-hmm.
Music is good for your mind. It is
And
good
your
for your
soul.
soul.
Yes.
We have music playing all the time here. And if you just feel like you're about to just cannot, have a dance party. Put a song on and get down.
Yes.
And it lifts you up and it lifts your mind up. And it just helps. And then T is trust. And that's the hardest one, because when you can't see what the end is, it's hard to have the trust that it's going to be okay. And that the trust that pain happens, but that doesn't mean we have to go through it alone. Trust that yeah, stuff is going to be harder than we think it's going to be, and it's going to be really tough to get through, but God has placed little things all along the way to assist us. People say God won't give you more than you can handle. I don't actually believe that. There are so many things that is more than we can handle. But the
Mm-hmm.
truth is, God never intended us to handle it
By
alone.
ourselves.
We're supposed to bear one another's burdens, and we're supposed to take our burdens to God and let him help us through them. So that trust is that fine. So that's how you rest. You rejoice in the goodness around us. You exalt God and you lift people up. You sing and let music fill your heart and your mind. And you trust that God has a purpose and that he has little things placed along the way to give you the strength you need for each day. And if that trust means trusting him enough to go to the doctor and get help if
Right.
you need help,
That's right.
um, so there I you've gotten more about my faith out of me than I normally talk about in these places in public.
Well, that's what this was supposed to be. Period. Like I have no other answer to that besides that's what this was supposed to be. And like I said, it has solidified so many things about what I'm going to do with Mrs. Deveter. Um, yeah, you were God sent today.
Well, I'm glad it was a blessing to you. It has been a rough couple of years
Mm-hmm.
for us, and I know it has been for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Today actually is the anniversary of, we say 2020 started today in
Mm,
2019,
mm,
because our pastor died suddenly and unexpectedly.
oh
And we were good friends with him. We are actually very close to his children.
no. Mm,
His son is my husband's age, and they're very close friends.
mhm.
Um, he was on his way to a routine doctor's appointment, had a heart attack, and died in the foyer of his home in the arms of his sons.
Oh,
And I was supposed to meet with him that day to discuss the social media calendar for our church because I manage our church social media. I had an appointment to meet with him, and all of a sudden I get this message like, no, sorry, he's gone. It shook our community. And then in January, our intern pastor died suddenly.
Stop it.
And he was a much older gentleman. He was very old. He was the previous pastor who stepped in to fill in until someone else could. So in the last 2 years, our church has put on 11 funerals of friends and family in our community. And it's been a lot. And then that doesn't count the family members that we've been to funerals for. So this last month, grandma on my husband's side passed away. Then my Nana passed away.
Oh no.
And then my daughter's teacher passed away suddenly and unexpectedly 2 days before school started. And then my mother-in-law has terminal cancer. Jesus. And we got texted last night that she is in the hospital.
Oh no.
We had to get rushed to the ER. She has a perforated bowel. Whether or not they treat her is still to be seen because her cancer is so advanced. It's chemo resistant. So they can't do that. The immunotherapy is what caused the problem in the first place, so now she can't take immunotherapy. My husband says based on the research he's seen, she probably has 0.8 months to live. So just a week or two, probably.
Oh my God.
So that's my
I am
so if you're wondering why I'm struggling with depression.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. And the thing is, I'm not alone.
Right.
Like this is, and I don't necessarily mean like, oh, I'm not trying to grieve alone. I mean, I'm not the only one who's had this level of trauma in the last 2 years. And whether you've had this many people pass away or not, we have all been isolated. And
yes.
People aren't meant to be isolated.
Yes.
I understand the importance of it and why we've had to do what we do. But at the same time, I'm very eager for things to get back to normal.
Yeah.
For people's minds.
Yes, it definitely has an adverse impact on our minds because, like you said, we are not meant to be alone. We're meant to be in community. We're meant to be in communication with other people. So
exactly.
And that's why, although it's not exactly what we want, I'm so thankful for platforms like StreamYard, for platforms like Zoom, for Facebook and Instagram, so that we at least have this.
Yes. It's still so much more.
Ola Jo wants to know where you're located because she wants to pray for everyone in that area.
Oh, we're in Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond. Okay. Not far.
I should open up the chat so I can see what people are saying. I didn't even think to look at the comments.
Yeah. Oh, it's all good. Yeah. So we will definitely keep, your church family and your family in our prayers. I believe that God definitely allows us to go through these things to be better on the other side. Like, your pastor, preferably, he was good. Yes. God was ready for him. So now he's gone.
And honestly, it's done it. And while the grief of that was hard, our community came together in an extremely beautiful way. Like that sort of trauma can break a community or bring it together.
Yep.
And it brought our community together in a very beautiful way. And I'm very thankful for how people have come together and have, as a community, used this last couple of years as an opportunity for our church to be a better and bigger blessing to our community.
Yes.
It's been really interesting to see and to watch how people have grown through it and have come to understand their place in the community and how to be a blessing to people in new and different ways. And
it doesn't always feel good when we're going through it.
No, it doesn't.
But it's for our good.
And there's something else interesting that I actually heard recently. and I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who does this, but sometimes we think our lives or the situations in our lives should follow the trajectory of a theater production. Like, things are fine.
Right.
Things are kind of not fine. Things are really not fine. Things are
Right.
better now.
Yeah.
But that's not how life works.
Ups and downs
It's
all over the
all, there's
place.
not one flat point through your
Yep.
life. It's
No.
all over the place. It's
Yep.
messy.
Yep.
And if you're expecting that, I don't know.
Sunshine and flowers every day and then doom and gloom. It's like you can't plan it out, you
No,
know?
you can't.
You
I
can't.
often say that life is a bed of roses because I'm a rose gardener.
Okay.
Roses are so mean. Um, they have beautiful moments, but they
Yes.
are thorny.
Yes.
They are picky.
Yes.
They have to have just the right growing conditions, soil. There's so many things about gardening, and it's not all attractive. It's not all beautiful.
That's
It
right.
can be extremely painful, but the end result is worth it.
It's so worth it. It's
So,
so worth it. So keep on living. That's the story I'm getting.
yes. Yes.
Keep
So
on
keep on
living.
going
Yes.
because it's good. And find a community of people you can talk to. And if you don't have that person in your life that you can just be like, all right, I'm going to talk your ear off for about an hour. Put little stock in what I'm saying because I'm just irritated and I have to get it out. You need somebody you can talk to, whether that's a therapist or like your sister, someone.
Somebody.
You need
Find
to
somebody.
find somebody you can talk to. And don't be afraid to take advantage of the resources that God has made available to
That's
us.
right. That's right. They are here. Make use of them. Rebekah, like I said, you have done my heart so glad today. This has been such an amazing conversation and again, confirmation on what I need to do moving forward. I just want to say thank you to Ola Joe and to Z who were on and hanging out with me, to Denise and anybody else I may have missed who popped in, to Jamie who made me these beautiful earrings. Aren't they so pretty?
They're beautiful. I love
Aren't they
that
so
color. So
pretty?
pretty.
I just am so thankful for the divine connections that have been made for me over the last few months. And you, Rebekah, are one of those. And I'm grateful. I'm really, really grateful.
Well, thank you. I'm really glad you had me on, and I'm glad it was a blessing. I'm
Yes.
always so nervous
Mm-hmm.
right before a live. I'm
Yes.
like, I'm gonna say something dumb.
Not with Mrs. Deveter. Doesn't matter what you say. It's family here, and like I said, this has just really been, it's been awesome, and I appreciate you. I do. I do. If there's anything that I can do besides pray for your family, for your church, let me know. I am here for
Thank
you.
you. I appreciate that.
Yes, let me.
Um, I think praying is the best we got right now.
Yep, and that's what I do. I love a good piece of prayer. So
I appreciate. I have been um amazed at how many like-minded people of faith
Mhm.
I have run into since starting this whole business.
Mm,
And I expected, to get a lot of pushback for
mhm,
being a Christian, honestly, when I started. Because
mhm.
that's kind of what people tell you. I don't know, like
That's what
people
they
aren't
tell
gonna
you.
I feel like that's a thing. Like, you do see pushback in some places,
Mhm,
and then people are kind of like, oh, if you're too open about your faith, people will get mad at you for it. But I've just met so many beautiful
mhm,
creators and makers who are open about their faith and willing to share it,
mhm,
and gentle
mhm,
in their approach to that. And it's
mhm,
been a blessing to
mhm,
me to be a
mhm.
part of a community like this.
Likewise. Likewise, and I'm telling you, I feel like whenever I make that connection with people, I
Mhm.
can feel it instantly. And
Yes.
I didn't know again that you were a Christian, but when you were talking about mental health that day, I was like, I need to have her on. And lo and behold, and it's so, the way you just shared it, it just came right out. And I'm like, God, you did that. Like, that was God. That
Yes, he's gave me a weird personality. I am an introvert, but once you get me talking, brace yourself.
I know. When you start talking about the things that you are passionate about, you could just keep going on
It's
and
true.
on.
It's really true. Yes.
I
Mental
know.
health is something I've become increasingly passionate about over the last few years. And I've been making a lot of different decisions about, you know, where my priorities lie, as a business person, how much can I balance between my mental health, running a business,
Mhm,
being a stay-at-home mom,
mhm,
my personal physical well-being with the
mhm,
different, you
mhm,
know, chronic illnesses that I have. But things like I'm not designing as many patterns, or had to take some really long breaks, and stuff like that. But I think when you put your, you know, it's a priority. Your mind and your health has to be a priority,
that's right.
because if you let that fall apart,
Mhm.
um, then
Everything's
then
gonna fall apart.
everything falls
Yeah.
apart. And I don't think we're meant to be miserable.
Mm-mm.
Yes, it's going to be hard, and yeah, we'll have times when we're sad and there's a lot to deal with and it's a lot to process.
Mhm.
But we weren't intended to be miserable.
Nope. Not at all.
So
Not at all.
so yeah, find that thing that brings you your joy,
Mhm.
whether that's crocheting and learning to knit two socks together. That was the project I decided. I was like, my nana passed away,
Mhm.
and it hit me harder than I expected it to.
Mm.
Granted, you're like, well, of course that would hit you hard.
Mm.
She was 93.
Mm.
Um, she was bedridden. She had late stage dementia. She didn't know who anyone was
Mhm.
at that point.
Mhm.
So it's one of those things where you're like, well, yes, but this is for the best for
Yeah.
her.
Yes.
Um, so I kind of didn't expect the grief to hit me as hard because of the rationale there, but
Mhm.
it did. And knitting those socks was just like so therapeutic.
Oh.
So find something like that, which is to calm your soul. Sometimes they say yarn crafts are like the number one therapeutic craft.
Yeah, I
So,
believe they are. I believe they are. I feel like I know that so many people picked up crocheting and knitting during the pandemic, like, because it's something that you could do. It keeps you busy. It
oh
keeps,
yeah, definitely.
your mind occupied. So yeah, I think I highly encourage people pick up
Oh,
some
and I
new
love it. I
book,
love how crochet I feel like crochet is finally having her
rebirth.
moment.
Yes.
Um, I've done some studies on it in the history, and why sometimes there's a sort of a classes divide between knitting and
Yes.
crocheting.
Crochet. Mm-hmm.
And I have a whole series on my TikTok about it if you ever
Okay.
feel like popping over there and
What's
hearing
your
me ramble about history.
what's your TikTok?
Um, but I feel like we are coming to the end of that divide.
Mm-hmm.
Because it used to be that the fine yarns were for knitting
Mm-hmm.
and the budget yarns were for
It's for
crocheting.
crochet. Yep. Yep.
But now you have knitters using the budget yarns, and you have crocheters using the fine yarns, and all
Yep.
those class lines
Yes.
are being blurred, and people are just coming together for the beauty of yarn crafts, and it
Yes.
just makes me so happy.
Me too. What's your TikTok?
It's the same, Rebekah Haas Crochet.
Okay. I just want
Um,
to share it.
I think I titled all my videos. I sometimes forget to title them. There's a bunch of different stuff on there. It's all craft, crochet, or knitting related. So there's some history. There's some just what I'm working on. There's some that show the products that we sell on our Etsy shop. So it's all that sort of stuff.
Cool.
But I enjoy those because they're easy and they're quick to put up. And history, I think, is important to learn from. Um, Important to study. So, yep.
Now, not to cut you off, but do you have like 10 more minutes? Because I'm going to go live on Instagram too. If you want to hop over,
Okay, I could probably do 10 more
you
minutes.
can
My kids
join.
are asleep.
Okay.
So that's good. And my big kids have about 20 to 30 minutes before they'll be home. So
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna be live on Instagram at 3, and
okay,
we're just gonna chat it up some more. We can keep it crochet, but we definitely want to talk about mental health some more there.
sure.
And I would love for you to share mom's acronym for rest, if you could.
I'm
Uh,
sorry, repeat that. It's still really quiet.
oh, sorry. I want you to repeat mom's acronym
Oh,
for
yes.
rest. Yeah, I definitely want the Instagram audience to hear that. So if you
Okay,
join me at 3, that would be awesome.
I can do that.
All right. Thank
Awesome.
you, Rebekah. See you there.
I'll see you there. I'm going to warm
Okay.
up my coffee.
Okay. Was that not awesome, everybody? I am just elated. I'm just so happy about the direction of Mrs. Deveter, and I hope that everyone who watches this video is inspired. I hope that you're encouraged. I hope that you know how important your mental health is. Make sure you can find somebody to talk to about the things that are going on with you. Make sure that if you need medicine, that you find a doctor who would be able to prescribe you the medicine that you need so that you can be well, mind, body, and spirit. I am Mrs. Deveter. This has been another live, and today is our Mental Health Monday. And I'm going to be on Instagram with Rebekah Haas for a little while longer, so come on and join me on Instagram. I hope to see you there. If you have any questions, thoughts, ideas for Mrs. Deveter, please let me know. I am totally open. Until then, I will see you all soon. Bye.